relationship. I have been reading some internet blogs written by Chinese backpackers traveling across the entire India internet. Very interesting story, fascinating story, because these guys, they spend say 100 rupee a day. They get really to very close to the local cultural, local people. Very interesting story. Now, it's a very difficult task to comment on the ambassador's speech because he has been so comprehensive, so spot on. So, given the time constraint, I only probably highlight 3 points or comments on his speech. The first point is on the economic relationship, second one on the general relationship between the two countries, last point on the place of the two countries in the world. Very briefly, the ambassador mentioned the economic relationship has improved a lot between the two countries, but my comment is that it's still not efficient. The level of engagement between the two countries doesn't match the size of the two economies. Those two economies are the largest economy in the world. So what really happened in the 1962 is really unfortunate. The two countries haven't really get over with that. My limited historical knowledge, Buddhism was introduced to China and prospered in China as well. And even in more recent history, during the Second World War II, the Chinese army was trained in India and launched offensive battles from India all the way to Chinese to the mainland. So the two countries have been really peaceful, with only exception, that's 1962. Now, on the trade issues, at the moment, there's huge deficits favoring China. What I want to say, we don't have to worry about this. Over time, it will disappear, or probably one day, the deficit will be in the Indians' favor. Why is that? As the ambassador mentioned, that China is now climbing the value chain, it's upgrading its industry. Its growth model will change from supply-oriented to demand-oriented. So let's think about 10 or 20 years' time. When Chinese growth is mainly driven by domestic demand, who can supply a country like the size of China? I think the only country which can supply is India. So one day, we won't be surprised to everything consumed in China will come from India. At the moment, India buys a lot from China. So we should be, I'm very optimistic about this. The second point on the general relationship, sometimes as a scholar we are a bit shy to talk about the competition between two countries. As an economist, that's my background, I think competition is a good thing because it exists everywhere. Say siblings compete in a family, countries compete, it's natural. So it's good for economic development, for the general wealth of the nation. Then on the other issue, on the other side, the two countries can cooperate in many areas. As the ambassador pointed out rightly, these are the two largest developing economies. Naturally, they share a lot in common. So, for example, in terms of climate change policies and in many other areas. So, the general relations, competition, and the collaboration, and eventually prosperity for the two countries. And the last point, I'll try to be a little bit speculative about the place of China, India, in Asia, and in the world in general. Definitely, China, India will be the largest economy in this region. Why is that? One prediction is that at the moment, Japanese economy is still stronger than Indian economy. The prediction is that in 50 years' time, the Japanese population will shrink by a half. So from currently near say 100 million to just about 50 million. So basically, the country, unless the Japanese will do something serious to change its immigration policy, Japan will become a middle-sized country, not a big country, not a big economy anymore. So in the future, definitely will be China and India in Asia. In the world, I don't want to be too pessimistic about the U.S. economy. That if we look at the history, say 1,000, 2,000 years, we have big nations, a powerful nation, powerful economy. the destination is the same. They're going to decline. I think the same will happen to the US economy in, say, 40, 50 years' time. Then the future, at least in the immediate future, 50, even in the current century, will be India and China. So I'm very optimistic about this. Thank you.
So now we have a fantastic picture of China and India dominating the world economies, and the point also being made that despite the size, the volume